As we've been hearing throughout the programme today, Scotland could miss out on £40 billion worth of work over the next 35 years if we fail to win oil platform decommissioning contracts. That's the stark warning from unions after a Norwegian company won a major contract to decommission a large oil platform. Work to recycle the Janus floating production unit, a 33-year-old 30,600 tonne platform, will now take place at the AF Gruppen facility in Norway. Well, the decision to grant the work away from the North East, or the facilities on offer at Dundee's fourth port, has prompted fears that jobs and the economy could suffer in the long term. Well, Scottish Labour North East MSP Jenny Marra joins me now, and also Chris Law, the SNP MP for Dundee West. Good evening to you both.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Jenny Marra, how big a loss is this?
It's huge, but, it's a missed opportunity. That's my real concern. I've been asking Nicola Sturgeon and Alex Salmond and the SNP government for the past 3 years now about the decommissioning opportunities in the North East. There's going to be $40 billion spent in the UK on decommissioning these oil platforms. Already we're seeing jobs sail past Dundee, sail past the North East down to Hartlepool. And now, this week, we're seeing all these jobs go over to Norway. And it strikes me that there is very little and next to nothing that is being done by the SNP to make sure that these jobs stay in Scotland.
Well, Chris Law, it must have been a big disappointment the work did not come Dundee's way. What's your understanding of what's happened?
Well, it was interesting to hear how you opened the programme, where the work is over the next 35 years. Decommissioning itself in the North Sea is a relatively new discipline, and it's becoming obviously a significant area of business which will be growing in the future as fields approach maturity. First things first, we are, as the government, are looking to extend the life of the fields, which is important. We have still a huge amount of reserves, so that's key. In terms of development towards decommissioning, that's been looked at as well. In Dundee, for example, I don't know where Jenny's getting information from, but there's been a £10 million investment in that port by Fourth Ports Authority, looking at not just decommissioning, but all the other strategies that will develop to maximise recovery and also decommissioning going into the future.
OK, well, Jenny Marra, that doesn't sound like no effort.
Well, £10 million is a drop in the ocean. It was a private investment made by Fourth Ports themselves, and when it was made, they made it very clear that they expected public money to be invested in this as well. Alex Salmond said he was going to re-industrialise Scotland, and frankly, not one industrial job has come to Dundee over the term of this SNP government. If I were in Nicola Sturgeon's very high shoes, I would be down at the Treasury every single week, making sure that the tax regime is absolutely ripe for these companies to be putting these jobs in Scotland, making sure, she should be in Dundee, meeting with Chris Law, meeting with me, meeting with industry, meeting with the unions. I'm meeting Unite the Union on this tomorrow. I don't see the SNP making these efforts round to this agenda. It's a huge opportunity. Scotland needs industrial jobs, and our working people want industrial jobs, and they should be making it their number one priority.
Chris Law, why did Dundee, for example, not get this contract then if so much work's been done and we are competitive?
Yeah, so key things is about having the infrastructure there.
Why is it not there?
Yes, well, at the moment, there's two things happening. As Jenny's pointed out, there has been investment getting made in Fourth Ports. It's not just about decommissioning. There are other strategies which include servicing already the oil industry that's there, which includes renewables as well, which, in fact, in the next few days, there's some wind turbines being landed.
Sure, but Chris, this is potentially... Hang on, Jenny. Chris, this is potentially £40 billion worth of work that Scotland doesn't appear to be getting a foothold on.
Yep.
No, I absolutely agree with you, and it's very important that we maximise the opportunity, but it has to be done in a safe and secure way.
Well, other countries have managed it.
Yeah, no, I agree, but decommissioning has come on quite quickly in the last few years, particularly the downturn in prices. So to react to that isn't going to be immediate. It's also a relationship not just with the Scottish Government, but with the UK Government as well. So we've been championing at the UK level, as an MP, for example, on getting some developments and some support so that we could look at the benefits of decommissioning going forward. Just one other point I wanted to make forward is that these things do take time, and we're very positive about moving that with. And in fact, today my colleague, my MSP in Dundee, Joe Fitzpatrick, was meeting with the Chief Executive at Fourth Port Authorities to find out exactly what more we can do that we're already on top of what we're already doing.
We don't have a lot of time though, Chris. You know, there was an industry report just a few months ago saying that expenditure on decommissioning is going to really accelerate in the next 3 years. Time is what we don't have, and the Norwegians, frankly, aren't saying this takes time. They're making sure that those jobs go to Norwegian people, and we should be doing exactly the same for people in Dundee and people right across Scotland. This is an urgent priority. You know, why isn't Nicola Sturgeon making speeches every week on her industrial agenda for Scotland? Why isn't she calling big summits on this to make sure that this huge opportunity in the oil and gas world lands in Scotland and stays in Scotland?
OK, Chris, final quick response from you.
Yeah. That is already happening. Indeed, there's discussions going on between Scottish Government and the UK Government on this matter. There is a lot of opportunity here, but like I have to re-emphasise, it's early days. Yes, it's a disappointment to hear about losing the jobs today, the opportunity today, but this is over the next 35 years. Okay, and we'll take a lot of planning for the security and safety of this work.
Big danger, though. We miss the boat if we don't get moving.
We are moving on it, and we're progressing. We're in discussion with all the ports about it, in fact, and we're moving along with what's important for them in terms of infrastructure. One other thing, just to go back to Dundee, I've been very clear in championing the Tay City deal, which is about providing infrastructure which will allow for the long-term planning of that port.
I have seen the papers for the Tay City deal discussion. There is not one mention of industry and decommissioning. It's all
Chris,
about
respond to that just very briefly.
Well, simply, it's not just about decommissioning, as I pointed out earlier.
There's nothing about decommissioning in your papers.
You need to able to have transport infrastructure as well, which will serve the port, not just for decommissioning, but for the other things that go on there as well.
Okay. The Tay City deal bid should be all about the industrial agenda for this city, and there's no mention of it at all so far.
Okay.
If you find that there's quite a big part about the port within it, it's not just, again, you're focusing on one aspect of what the port does, which is an important part as well, particularly going in the long-term future.
Thank you very much indeed, Jenny Marra and Chris Law.